Hello and welcome to Chihiro's English Lab, the podcast for Japanese people who don't just want to speak English but want to think in it and use it to build a life they're genuinely proud of. I'm Chihiro. I graduated from the University of Cambridge, but here's the thing, and I want you to hear this clearly. I was terrible at English in secondary school, genuinely awful, and there were long stretches of time where I had absolutely no motivation to study at all. So today I want to talk about that, about motivation, what it actually is, why it disappears, and the one shift in thinking that changed everything for me, not theory, my actual experience. Let's get into it. When I was in secondary school, English was my weakest subject, full stop. I could barely string a sentence together. Grammar felt like a foreign logic I wasn't wired to understand, which, to be fair, it was. Vocabulary wasn't sticking. Reading comprehension felt like guesswork. And listening, don't even ask. And the frustrating thing was, it wasn't for lack of effort, at least initially. I sat down, I opened the textbook, I did the exercises, but nothing seemed to click. And when things don't click, motivation starts to drain away. Slowly, at first, then all at once. I remember sitting at my desk one evening, staring at an English grammar worksheet and genuinely thinking, what is the point of this? I'm Japanese. I live in Japan. Why am I torturing myself with something I'm clearly not built for? And that, I think, is the trap that so many Japanese students fall into. Not laziness, not lack of intelligence, but a complete absence of a reason. When there's no reason, the brain quite sensibly asks, why bother? And you don't have a good answer. Here's something I wish someone had told me back then. Motivation is not a personality trait. It's not something you either have or you don't, like being tall or having a good singing voice. Motivation is a response. It's your brain's reaction to a perceived reward. And if there is no clear reward, no goal, no vision, no purpose, your brain will not manufacture motivation out of thin air. It simply doesn't work that way. A lot of students, and I was absolutely one of them, approach studying as if motivation should come first, and then the work follows. You wait until you feel like studying, and then you study. But if you're waiting for that feeling to arrive spontaneously, you'll be waiting a very long time. The real sequence is different. It goes purpose first, then motivation, then effort. You need something to aim at, not a vague something, but a specific, vivid, personal something that genuinely excites you or genuinely frightens you, because both work equally well. For me, that moment came when I allowed myself for the first time to seriously consider the possibility of studying abroad, not as a fantasy, as an actual goal. I remember the exact shift. I was reading about universities overseas, Cambridge in particular, and something clicked in my head, not a gentle click, more like a door being kicked open. I thought, what if that's actually possible? What if I could be there? And suddenly, English wasn't an abstract school subject anymore. It was the key, the one thing standing between me and this version of my life that I'd just caught a glimpse of. That is when my relationship with studying changed completely. The exercises didn't become easier overnight. The vocabulary still took effort. The grammar was still confusing at times. But now, every hour of study had a weight to it, a meaning. I wasn't studying English. I was building something. And that makes an enormous difference. I want to be careful here because I don't want to make this sound like a fairy tale. It wasn't effortless. There were still evenings when I didn't want to open a book. There were still moments of frustration and self-doubt. Having a goal doesn't eliminate difficulty. It gives you a reason to push through the difficulty. And that reason is everything. So what does this actually mean for you, practically, right now? First, find your specific reason. Not, I want to improve my English. That is not a reason. That is a wish. I mean something like, I want to apply to a university in the UK in 2 years. Or, I want to work at an international company where I use English every day. Or even, I want to be able to have a real conversation with someone from a completely different culture. Specific, personal, vivid. Write it down. Put it somewhere you'll see it. Your phone wallpaper, a sticky note on your desk, wherever. Because on the days when motivation is low, and those days will come, you need to be able to look at that reason and remember why you started. Second, change what you measure. Most students measure how they feel before studying. Do I feel motivated right now? That's the wrong question. Measure what you do, not how you feel. Commit to 30 minutes regardless of mood. Often you'll find that the motivation appears during the work, not before it. Third, make your goal visible and real. When I started thinking seriously about Cambridge, I looked up the campus. I read about the colleges. I imagined the supervision system, the libraries, the people I might meet. I made it concrete in my mind, and that mental image became enormously motivating on difficult days. Your goal needs to feel real before it is real. That's not delusion. That's how human motivation works. Let me bring this back to where we started. I was a secondary school student who was genuinely bad at English and had no motivation to study it. Today, I have an 8.5 on the IELTS, a degree from Cambridge, and I spend a significant part of my working life helping other Japanese students navigate the same journey. The difference was not talent. It was not some secret study method. It was, quite simply, having a goal that meant something to me and letting that goal pull me forward on the days when I had nothing left. If you're listening to this and you're struggling with motivation right now, I want you to ask yourself one question. What am I actually studying towards? Not for school, not for your parents, for you. What version of your life are you trying to build? Find that answer, write it down, and then let it do the work of motivation for you. That's it for today's episode. If this resonated with you, please do subscribe. It genuinely helps the podcast grow. And if you're at a stage where you're seriously thinking about studying abroad, building an international career, or just taking your English to a completely different level, come and find me online. The link is in the description. I'd love to hear where you're trying to go. Until next time, keep thinking in English.